K'Waun Williams. Is he coming back or is he out?
Okay, so I think the thing I do want to say is with all these in and outs, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to speculate based on how much I think the guy is going to get offered, and if he's going to get offered too much money, and if he's worth that too much money. I think K'Waun Williams is going to get offered a reasonable contract, especially by the New York Jets, and I don't think he's worth it. And here's why. So, Grant, who did you say in camp this year was the cornerback that struggled the most? You reported this. You stressed on this. Who really struggled in man coverage?
Jamar Taylor.
Jamar Taylor, correct?
Jamar Taylor, yes.
So Jamar Taylor played 8 games for the 49ers at nickelback this year. K'Waun Williams played 8 games for the 49ers at nickelback, okay?
Neither one is good in man-to-man coverage, honestly. Neither one. They're both little.
Let's go through their numbers, right? So Jamar Taylor was targeted 17 times. He had 2 interceptions, gave up 13 completions at a rating of 69.1. K'Waun Williams was targeted 20 times. He gave up 15 receptions at a completion percentage of 75%, had 0 interceptions, okay? So the numbers are fairly similar, and here's why, okay? The reason that these nickelbacks on the 49ers look so good is because of the safeties. Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt are the actual nickelbacks on this team. They do the covering in man-to-man coverage, which allows K'Waun Williams to be the playmaker and blitz and cause these fumbles. And yeah, he's a phenomenal blitzer. He's a really good tackler, but his job is done by Jimmy Ward. And, Jimmy Ward, then everyone says, Jimmy Ward has no numbers. No numbers. Well, let Jimmy Ward be the blitzer and make K'Waun Williams guard in one-on-one, and look at Jimmy Ward's numbers, and K'Waun Williams is probably getting beat a lot.
So Jimmy Ward won't get to the quarterback because K'Waun Williams gets beat too quickly.
Right. Yes. So for that reason, I just think that I think K'Waun Williams is a really good player. I think his story is awesome. I think he's a really good tackler. He's a very good, he forces fumbles. He's a hard-nosed, gritty player who does have the same injury issues as the other players that get for K'Waun Williams that never gets mentioned, but it gets mentioned with other players. I do want to say that. And ultimately, I just think that he is someone that they can replace, and they would replace as long as Jimmy Ward is the free safety for this team.
They've done it over and over and over again, and that's the main point. As long as Jimmy Ward is the free safety, they proved that a guy like Jamar Taylor can do the job as well, if not better, for stretches than K'Waun Williams. It's an important position in the Niners defense, but he's this wild card. Basically, he's Jamal Adams. They use him the way the Seahawks use Jamal Adams, which is you can't cover anyone. We don't trust you in the middle of the field. We don't trust you in man-to-man coverage. There's not that much we can really freaking do with you. But you're a hell of a blitzer. I mean, honestly, you're the best pass rusher on our team, so we're going to blitz you often. And the only way we can do that is because Bobby Wagner can cover and KJ Wright can cover, and we got guys. Same thing with the Niners. So it's useful, but you don't want to be spending Jamal Adams money on that.
Right. KJ Wright does a lot of the dirty work for their defense. And KJ Wright hasn't gotten credit for 10 years for how good he's been. And that's because when you do what Jimmy Ward and Jaquiski Tartt have to do for this defense, you don't accumulate statistics. And it's not because, they're bad players. It's because their job doesn't allow them to be able to be in positions to make play after play because they're locked up in man coverage, which doesn't put them around the football. So is K'Waun Williams a really good player? Yes. Is he going to be worth the contract I think the Jets will dole out? No, I don't think the Niners should even consider paying the farm to sign him because they just need to find another nickelback who's smart enough to be good in zone coverage, tackles well, and you can blitz him. And I think that you can draft those guys often in the 5th round. I think DJ Reed would have been more than capable at doing the same exact job if in the case that K'Waun Williams walked this year because Jimmy Ward does the tough part of being a nickelback, and that's covering man-to-man.
Also, one final point, the whole way that they use K'Waun Williams as this wild card blitzer that the offense isn't expecting and doesn't account for, that's Robert Saleh's signature. That's his thing that he's been doing for 2 years. That may not be what D'Amico Ryans wants to do. He may have a different vision for the nickelback. He may want to blitz Jimmy Ward. Who knows? So, yeah, I don't think K'Waun Williams is coming back.
Right. And, if you notice, Robert Saleh loves that blitz because after K'Waun went down, after Jamar Taylor went down, when they brought Dante Johnson in, they started blitzing Jimmy Ward a bit more and gave him a couple of pass rush attempts because they love that blitz, and he was the only one healthy enough to do it.
And also that nickel blitz coming from the defense's left and the offense's right ended up being Robert Saleh's final solution to containing the mobile quarterback. Honestly, that was the last thing he figured out in his tenure with the Niners. That was his kryptonite because the whole rush 4 play zone is great against pocket quarterbacks, not as great against mobile quarterbacks, because the mobile quarterbacks break the pocket. There's always one gap, and then zone becomes man, and you're done. So by bringing that blitz off this side, it forces it takes away that last gap. It's harder to break out of the pocket. If you do break out of the pocket, you got to go away from your throwing arm. It was brilliant. So that's his thing.
I agree. So I mean, ultimately, I'm totally with you there.
Yeah, and they can get undrafted guys. They can get round 5 picks to do that.